Okay, I'm starting to record this class for lots of people who aren't here and might want to see it, or if you want to review it. Thank you for being here, the three of you. You get extra credit for being faithful and true. Yay.
I'll take it.
Not built in. So what I want to do today is just check in on your reviewing for the midterm exam, which is due this week. Deadline Friday at 5 o'clock as usual. You can turn it in anytime, of course. Okay, here comes Mr. Townsley.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I'm just beginning the class. We're going to talk about the reviews. I gave you a video on Monday, which was my suggestions on how to go about reviewing the class, which is go back through your stuff. Look at your, unless you have a instant recall photographic memory, which
oh, wow.
You need to go back, and I'm talking to all of you now, you need to go back and look at the readings and review them and skim through them or read them again, or however it works for you. Get that in your head. The only person I know personally who has that kind of memory is Dr. Lewis Brogdon, the chair of the religion department here. He's so brilliant, he can do that. I can't. I've read this stuff several times, but I have to go back and read it again.
Right.
That's what that's about. So do that. Back and look at the questions and the definitions that I put in each module, because that's the stuff I'm thinking it's important for you to think about and know. We'll go look at the video presentations that I gave you in class videos. Look at your notes if you've been taking notes and all of this stuff, because that's the stuff that you thought, I need to remember that. And that brings it back to you. And then look at your papers that you turned in and my comments about them, because that's all the kind of stuff I'll be looking for in the midterm exam. I also posted a paper of a midterm review with 6 questions about all of the topics that we've covered in this so far this semester. Again, there might be a clue in there from your professor about what's going to be on the quiz. So I suggest you look at that. So that's the stuff that generally you need to be doing. The books are Armstrong, the 1st chapter and the 4th chapter. And then this last week we started the first of three times we'll be studying from Stand Your Ground. And if you don't have that book, you need to get it, because the next 2 weeks are going to be all from, excuse me, from this book. And there is a copy of this book on reserve in the library. Mr. Coleman, did you get back to look for it?
I'm sorry.
I was asking Gary Townsley.
Oh.
I missed him. Okay, anyway. So that there's an option if you can't get the book. It's sitting there on the review desk to read in the library. So that's the stuff we've been talking about. And what I thought we could do today is answer questions or have some general discussion about the stuff that on this we've talked about all semester that you have questions or you're puzzling about or whatever. Good morning, Mr. Middleton. Not on yet. Okay. So, given all of that stuff, and basically what we covered is we talked about the idea of the transcendent and the experience of the transcendent. We talked about critical thinking, the importance of being able to say, does that make sense or not? And how does that make sense? We talked about the section on early ideas, the sort of prehistory religion ideas of God, and then the early Old Testament Hebrew religion ideas about God, all those names of God and different ideas. We also mentioned the axial age, which I don't think I asked anything about on the exam, but that kind of plays into everything we're going to be talking about through the semester. We also talked last week about civilization and how religious ideas change and develop in periods of civilization, when things start getting into cities and arts and science and education and governments and so forth. Ideas develop, and that's when they start to develop in the axial age. Then we talked about early Christianity and the debates about how could Jesus become God, and what do you do with monotheism that also talks about more than one God and how they put that together. And the idea of God as the Trinity was a key part of that. And we talked about that for 2 weeks, in effect. And then last week, we talked about African religions in the pre-colonial times, before Europeans came in and taught everybody the right way to think about God and Christianity. So, what questions, comments, issues do you bring to this review that we can talk about today, that among ourselves we can see if we can work through?
So I know I just got on, so I missed like a lot. But so basically you was just saying, I was trying to read the notes that you had on your whiteboard.
Yeah.
And it's the axial, like those definitions you gave us in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then early axial age Christianity, Trinity, that's what you said, the God, the Father, and Holy Ghost.
Right. Yeah. That's the idea of God, right?
Society God. Okay, in Africa next week. What's that mean?
This is one topic, the African religions before the colonial time, and then this is reminding me, I want to talk about before we're done.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay.
I'll also send you, put up a screenshot of this board in case you want that.
Okay. So that's like you talking about like the colonization of Africa, the civilization of Africa and stuff? We talked
about the pre-colonial civilization
pre-colonial.
of Africa,
Okay.
and then the ideas of God that indigenous to African people have the influence of European colonialism. Yeah.
Okay.
And the idea being that the people who were kidnapped and brought to the Western Hemisphere for slavery had those religious ideas in their hearts already. They weren't blank slates. Or yeah.
Wouldn't that be found in the Stand Your Ground, sir?
The stuff about Africa is in Stand Your Ground, right? There's a chapter called Chapter 4 called "A Father's Faith," which we'll read the whole chapter for next week, but it was just 146 to 157, I think, talked about specifically the indigenous African religions. Yep.
But there was one question on the Hinduism religion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting that definition mixed up somehow.
Well, we haven't talked about Hinduism yet. Give me a chance to talk about it. That'll be about 3 or 4 weeks from now.
Okay. But it was a question, I can't remember exactly what it was. It had something to do with I don't have my notes handy. Hang on.
Okay.
Mm. Where is it? Don't have it in. I don't have it in this one. In these notes.
Well, you can email me about it. That'd be all right.
Okay.
Anything else you're wondering about? Worrying about?
No, not really. I was just checking some stuff out,
That's good.
and I didn't have I would have had it done already. I just didn't have which book? I didn't have my white book with me, the one about Armstrong. The Armstrong,
Right.
the book with Armstrong. I didn't have it with me Monday, but I was checking it out, checking out the test, the quiz.
Right.
I think
One of the
I think
the questions that came in, a definition that you put out there, and I just couldn't, whether it was one, whether they appreciated that they knew that there was more than one God,
Mm-hmm.
but it turns out that they're wanting only to serve one God. I can't remember the definition to that.
Okay. Anybody else remember the words we used for those 3 or 4 different ideas about God, that whether one God or many gods and so forth? Fancy words.
Dr. Sawyer,
Yes, sir.
and the this book,
Yeah.
are we only reading a specific chapter in it, or
Yeah.
like okay, because I'm kind of like, I just got the book and I'm like kind of like lost as where exactly I'm supposed to be headed in it.
Good. Well, check your modules. And
Okay.
each week's module has the exact reading assignment. Last week's reading assignment was from that book. And it was just specific chapter pages in the middle of chapter 4.
Okay.
Next week, we're going to study all of chapter 4 and talk about American Black Christianity. The week after that, we're going to study chapter 1, I think it is, and we'll talk about white Christianity, or as she calls it, Anglo-Saxon Christianity.
Dr. Sawyer,
Yes, sir.
I think I was trying to do my midterm, and I think like I logged in, and then I logged in, got on it, and then I like try to switch the tabs, and I think it just like I can't see it no more.
Uh-oh.
What? Does it close once you open it once?
It should not. I thought I coded it so you can go back to it and try again and again.
Yeah.
That. Is this Marcel asking me that?
Yeah, this is me.
Okay. Let me check on it and I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
That would be discouraging. How far did you get on it, Marcel?
Well, I didn't start it. I was just looking at just looking at it basically.
Ooh, that doesn't work.
Say it again. I can't hear you.
That's too bad. That's not good. The midterm has it's a quiz created on Canvas. You do it all on Canvas, and then you submit. It has matching, multiple choice, true and false, and then there's an essay with 2 parts to it. Other questions?
So basically everything you're reviewing right now is on the quiz, basically.
Right.
Correct.
All of the stuff we talked about so far this semester, starting from the the definition of transcendence and how to understand how people experience the transcendence, and different people experience differently. That was one piece. I talked about critical thinking. Then we talked about ideas of God in early times and in the Old Testament. Then we talked about ideas of God in Christianity, and then specifically about the Trinity and how Jesus became God. And then we talked about ideas of God in pre-colonial Africa. Those are the topics that are all on the big issues that are all on the exam. Anybody remember what those three types of religious thinking are in terms of whether there's only one God or whether there's many gods, or whether there are many gods but you only follow one?
Or polytheism and monotheism.
That's
Monotheism.
okay. And
Monotheism.
monotheism, polytheism, and what was the
Did the word start with S?
no?
Monotheism, polytheism.
Yeah, I just ready to ask. Can you put that on the board, please?
Like, say what?
No, some you're already doing.
It's too low. Actually, there's four of them. Monotheism. What does the word mono mean?
Many. Oh no, yeah.
One.
One.
Yeah, mono means there's only one.
One.
And if you monochrome means only one color.
Mhm.
Polytheism. What's poly referred to?
Many.
Many.
Mm.
Right. Heno. That's the unusual one.
Yeah.
H-E-N-O theism. What's that one?
A lot? It's more than three, isn't it? I think.
Part of it is there is more than one gods, and we decide we're only going to follow.
Can I see?
One. Yeah.
So hand means one. You saying the hand like henotheism only means one?
You know, I'm not sure what the actual meaning of heno is. I'll have to look that up. You could look it up too. I hadn't thought about that. But the idea is
Multiple gods, but only
there are
serving.
multiple gods, but we choose to follow only one. What we saw in the chapter about the Hebrew scriptures, the Jewish Bible, the Old Testament, was that probably the early Jewish people believed there are all these other gods around, and they said, and as who was it? Aaron, who said, "As for me, I will follow God. Me and my house, we will follow God. We will just pick the one God." Yeah. And what is atheism?
No belief in God.
We said there ain't no God. Yeah. Right. Those are your choices. Well, actually, there's another choice, which my 76-year-old brain just lost.
Excuse me, doctor. Are you saying hemo or heno? H-E-N-O or H-E-M-O?
H-E-N as in nobody.
Okay.
Yeah. H-E-N-O.
Wisdom.
N-O.
Yeah.
They all have theism, and T-H-E-I is all about God.
That's the one I was questioning right there, the Henoism.
Yes, sir.
And I couldn't remember whether it was one or they was trying to say that they had more gods, but they only wanted to worship one God. Is that what?
That last thing you just said is henotheism, right?
Right. Okay.
And okay, help me out. What do you call the belief that there may or may not be gods out there, and I'm just open about it. I don't know. There's a word for that, and I'm blanked on it. Okay, but we haven't talked about that. Good. That's a good question. And you can wow your friends some night in some conversation about gods and different ideas and beliefs about God with fancy multi-syllable words. That's the advantage of going to college. You get all these big words you can use.
Yeah.
That's worth the tuition just by itself. Then all the words. I think it's fun. Okay. Nairobi, you have any questions about the subjects we were talking about and getting ready for the exam?
No, I don't. I have to think and probably email you.
That's good. Available.
So the midterm is already on here, so we can, like you said, we have it to where we can go in and out.
Yes, you're supposed to be able to. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do, and then I don't even see it no more.
Yeah, I'll have to check on that. I'm sorry. I'm new to Canvas too, so I'm still learning about it, and I'll find out. I'll let you know later this afternoon. I have to watch a baseball game first. The ball player are on, and I'm a big Reds fan. And all of a sudden, they're in the playoffs. Wow.
What?
Was that what about the Reds or about being a baseball fan?
No, the Reds, they moved to the playoffs. First time in what, 20 years?
Yeah. Well, I think they got in the playoffs 7 years ago, but didn't get very far. So, you know, they just swept the last 6 series. They beat the Twins, who were the top team in the leagues for a while. The Twins are slumping though, and the Reds. So we'll see. We'll see. They got to beat the Dodgers. They got to beat the Braves.
Yeah.
I know you all are really excited about this, but I just, you know.
Well, okay. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it says a no preview available after. Like I was on there before, then when I, clicked off and tried to click back on, now it says no preview available.
Yeah. Okay. I'll check it out.
Damn, I wish I could have took a picture. Shit.
Well, I'll get it back. I'll get it for you. I really will.
I know. Or ask the questions to you, and then try to answer them already.
Oh, yeah. Lots of ways of doing it. You're right. Okay.
So,
any other questions we can talk about?
So from our way, from folks, so basically from all the way from the beginning of the semester till now, that's what all gonna be over. Okay, I got most of it. Cool. Are you gonna put this on the module too? To review?
This video of this class?
Yeah, the review.
Yeah, it's being recorded. There's also on Monday I gave you a video on my suggestions on how to review. I check that out. And there's a sheet, there's a paper on the Canvas for this week about questions for the review as well.
Where's that located?
That's under
In the module.
for this week.
It'd be in the module. Okay.
Yeah. So in the module of preparing for the midterm, then there's the video, there's the sheet on how to review, There'll be a video of this class. I think I gave you a screenshot of the board I built for Monday's video, and I'll give you a screenshot of this one.
Oh, got you. Oh, okay, cool.
And then I've done my stuff. Then it's up to you. You can do it. I know you can. And use your usual quiz mentality. If you have issues around taking tests, work around that. Work with it. Figure out how to do that. It's worth doing. And unfortunately, college learning is not completely self-directed learning. It has to be measured and evaluated, and I have to give you quizzes to evaluate whether you're learning what you're supposed to be learning. It also gives me a chance to say, I may not have taught that as well as I need to. And that could also influence how we go through the second half of the semester. So it works both ways. All right. Well, so here's a question for general discussion before we quit here. What would you say if you were asked, so what is this transcendent class all about? If you could put that in a couple of sentences, what would you say?
I would say that it's about learning different views and like just different people's feelings and like how they not even how they react, but how they understand God and just the whole religions of God and how he came, well, not even how he came into power, but just how like the different religions and just how they understand God and how they I'm trying to think of the word, but it's the different views, I guess, to say of just God in general. Like,
Okay. Who else?
Or the different experience, basically.
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Different experience. Yeah, I second what you're saying. You're definitely on point.
Who else would summarize it in your own way?
I would kind of like piggybacking off of what they said, like that, like the different ideas that people have of God, and just like yeah, like it's like basically like the different ideas that people have in how they see him or how they believe in him to how they direct their life.
Right. Different ways to have ideas of God. Yeah. Good. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I would just say the different ideas and their experiences of God and the different experiences, ways that they experience. So it's kind of the same thing Kia said.
Yeah. You picked up finally, and Kia finally brought in what I think Tyree was trying to get at, and that is the two things: experiences and ideas. Started in my paper and video on how different people experience the transcendent. Started with the experience of some sort of there is something. I don't know what it is. Then you tell a story about it, then that becomes an idea about God. And if that becomes a religion, it becomes a doctrine about God. But the major sense, if there's only one word you carry around about this, it is ideas of God. This is all about different ideas of God. Names of God are an idea of God. Descriptions of God are ideas about God. Different doctrines of different religions are based on ideas of who God is and what God can do in the world. Those are all, and it is In some ways, I will warn you, it's a little bit heretical for me to use the term
Agreed.
ideas about God. Some people will tell you there's not an idea that there's just God, and this is what you have to believe about God. I'm saying that's fine. You can choose to believe that. And when you're talking to other people who have ideas different, you need to be able to listen to them and understand, oh, that's interesting. Tell me about your ideas of God and how that's different from mine. We can learn from each other. That's Dr. Sawyer's heresy.
Mhm.
But it is the accepted way of teaching the world religions and understanding different religions in the world. What's different with this course from other world religions class is that we talk about Judaism and Christianity, and white Christianity and black Christianity as uniquely developed ideas of God in their own way. And that's a different kind of way of doing it, which is I'm excited about doing that. Okay. Any other questions? Well, my dear students, I think we've done what we need to do here. And I'll let you all know what I find out following up on Marcel's question about that pesky quiz that disappeared. And I'll get working on that right away.
Okay.
And then let me know if you have other questions or concerns. We'll work on them.
Sure.
All right. Thanks for being here. Study well. Do a good quiz. Oh, next week. So next week, we're going to talk about Black Christianity in America. It's based on chapter 4 in the Stand Your Ground book, titled A Father's Faith. And by the way, she refers to Anglo-Saxon Christianity, which is an earlier chapter, which we're going to read after this section. Her chapter on America's exceptionalism, and we'll talk about that when we talk about white Christianity. But I decided we're going to talk about Black Christianity first. See how that works. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'll give you a video for Monday. We'll have a class on Wednesday, and the usual report paper on Friday. That's next week. Questions about that?
Okay.
All right. Take good care, you all.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Have a good
everybody.
week.